It has an image and then it talks about how it uses the composition to tell the story. Hi and welcome back to Pencils and Stories, the place that helps you make your own personal projects. So this month is all about visual storytelling. In today's video, we're going to talk about composition. It's one of the most powerful ways to tell the audience how you want them to feel or how the character is feeling. And then I will have a book that is one of the best books I have ever read about composition. I'm going to talk a little bit about composition now, and I didn't all get it from this book. I've done a few courses and I've read a few books. There's actually some other books on my shelf over there about composition that I might do reviews later on. I'm also working at a big list of resources for my website, so those books will definitely be on there as well as Framed Ink, because it is, in my opinion, the best that talks about composition, at least the best that I have come across. Composition is a super powerful way to tell your story, because the way elements are arranged, either on a page or on a painting or on a screen, even if the elements are moving in movies and in animation, the way they relate to each other tells you a lot about what is going on. And one way that it's often done is not only by rearranging the elements on, the picture plane, but it's also done by something that's called shape language. And shape language is something that I hear a lot in the artist world, but just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, certain shapes have different connotations, give you kind of subconsciously give you different feelings. So there's usually people say, like, you have kind of like squares, rectangles, anything that's kind of boxy. You have the round shapes, and then you have triangles. And the general consensus is that the boxy shapes is either, make stuff very straightforward, very stoic, or in the case of horizontals, gives like a peaceful, quiet kind of feeling. If you use kind of like shapes like that, like broad, flat shapes, whereas verticals will they can even give you kind of like feeling of being boxed in. So it kind of depends on how you use them. Then you have the round shapes. The round shapes are usually the friendly shapes. You can use them compositionally by arranging everything in a circle, but you can also use it in design, like literally in a design of the environment or the character, to kind of give everything around a pleasant feeling. They're nice and curvy and kind of fluid. And then you have triangles, which are pointy, and that's why triangles are often used for giving something a more menacing look, because we associate them with teeth and, spiky things. So they are a little less friendly. So you can really use your composition, the shapes you're using, but also how you arrange everything on the page. If a character feels very closed up and threatened, you can actually frame the character in a box, or you can use diagonals, which come from the triangles. Diagonals usually mean either dynamics, danger. Everything is, if it's skewed, it doesn't give a very peaceful or restful image. One of the best books I've read about composition that will help you with all of this stuff is this book, Framed Ink, by Marcos Mateu-Mestre. That's how they pronounce it in English. I'm not sure how to actually pronounce his name, because the guy is actually Spanish. Anyway, about the author, at the back it actually says that he has worked on films like Balto, The Prince of Egypt, amazing, an Asterix film actually that I have, and Surf's Up. And I know that he also worked on Puss in Boots and on How to Train Your Dragon 2. So yeah, I guess he worked at DreamWorks for a long time. And I see here that he also worked at Sony. He made this book, and it's printed in 2010. He also has two other books. I think they're both about perspective drawing. I'm not actually sure, and I'm super curious. I want them too. I didn't even know until a few minutes ago that he had other books. So that's amazing. So it is an amazing book. And what I really like about it is that he actually talks about composition and how you can use it, and you know what it does, what its strengths are. And he gives you a ton of visual examples. They're very strong, bold ink drawings, and it's just full of art, and it's so clear. And then it has a very nice text to image ratio. So I've actually worked through this book now twice, and you know, I learn something new every time. But I also find it really helpful that I can consume a small amount of text, take in all the images, because if I would be, you know, flipping through this book and just reading it all in one go, I would not retain it, because there's just so much information in here. But, you know, I can actually show you. It has a really nice, you know, it has an image, and then it talks about how it uses the composition to tell the story and how it's kind of built up. So you can kind of consume these little small amounts of text and look at the pictures and kind of let it sink in. And what I actually did was, you know, when I was brushing my teeth every evening, I would read one small block of text and kind of ponder about that certain kind of composition as I was brushing my teeth. So that made it really, you know, and eventually the book was complete. So that made it really helpful for me to kind of consume it in small blocks so I can retain the information. This book is amazing, and I recommend this book to anyone who wants to know more about composition and wants to truly let it help them enhance their storytelling. The good thing about that is that you don't have to tell everything. Like if you make a story, you don't have to tell the audience how the character is feeling, or the character doesn't have to express it in words how they're feeling, because you can show how they're feeling by using things like composition or color, which is why visual storytelling is very important for people who make their own stories. So that was it for this video. I want to remind you about an email reward I have coming up for my email list subscribers, because they are my exclusive community that I spoil with extras. I will send out a checklist of all the stuff that you can use to enhance your visual storytelling. Like today we talked about composition, but obviously there's more things that you can use, and I will give you examples to go with it from my favorite movies. If you want that checklist, subscribe before February 27th, because that is the date that I will send it out. You can find the link in the description below to pencilsandstories.com/extra, where you can subscribe. If you subscribe today, you will immediately get my ebook that's called My 10 Biggest Tips for Successful Personal Projects. For now, I want to thank you so much for watching. If you want to catch all the next videos about visual storytelling, be sure to subscribe to my channel by hitting the button below. And if it's helpful to you, please share it with an artist friend. Thank you again, and I will see you next week. Happy art making and have a great day.